Welcome to the Mr. Beacon podcast. I am very excited about a historic episode. This is our first interview with a venture capitalist. We think of you as our listeners, our viewers, as entrepreneurs, solutions architects, but sooner or later, you need some investment. And maybe it's investment from your company that you work at, if you work for a big company, or maybe you want to follow the path of many amazing entrepreneurs and start up your own company. This is the episode for you because we're talking to Dov Moran, who is the inventor of the thumb drive. So he sold his $1 billion company to ScanDisk. And pioneered the technology behind these amazing devices that are still indispensable. He is the managing partner of Grove Ventures, who are actually one of the VCs that invested in the first round of Wiliot, the company where I have my day job. And he has an incredible archive of knowledge in his brain, which we tap into. And he's an author. He's just published a book called 100 Doors, an introduction to entrepreneurship. And that's really the essence of what we are talking to him about in the show. The second part of our show, we talk a bit about his personal life, his journey. It's really fascinating conversation, in my opinion. But the first part of the show will be talking about what it takes to be a leader of a firm, the kind of qualities that venture capitalists look for in the companies that they're funding. And there's a lot of great advice and feedback, which I think you'll find very useful if you're in the solutions business. Dov, thank you so much for agreeing to do this podcast. You're the first venture capitalist we've had on the Mr. Beacon podcast. The show's been going for over 5 years, so this is a milestone for me, and it's a milestone having someone with your experience on the show, so thank you.
My pleasure.
So we're recording this show at the tail end of 2022, and the markets are not good. There's not a lot of companies that are going public. And the question that I had in my mind for you is what your advice is for entrepreneurs seeking funding these days. Is there still funding available for good ideas? What's the market like?
Absolutely yes. The answer is absolutely yes. And again, it's yes for the good companies. It's no for the bad companies. If maybe a year ago, hey, you could just invent this kind of stuff with some line on that. Say that's very unique. Now, how much money do you want? Yeah, and then competing, FOMO of VCs is terrible. Yeah, if I want to invest, somebody else will come and FOMO is gone. No more FOMO. Yeah, FOMO. Fear of
fear of missing out.
Opportunity, yes. Fear of missing investment. Yeah, it's FIMI supposed to be FIMI. Yeah, and in reality, we raised money. Many other funds raised money. I think that people are more cautious. I think that they slowed the rate of investment. There are no more these VCs, late stage VCs, which used to throw big amount of checks, hundreds of millions of dollars on companies, without really evaluating the process, the risks. Opportunities exist. You have to look at the opportunities, potential. You need to look at the risks. They didn't look at the risks. They looked only at the potential. Wow, amazing potential. Let's invest. There is a risk. You have to calculate risk. You have to measure things and do it smartly in a way that you take finally the right company. So yeah, those late stage VCs, some of them has gone, or they became very, very careful with their investment. Early stage, I think that almost every VC I know raised money last year, the year before. They still have money. They are investing. They are slower, which is good. They are more selective, which is very, very good. And they are more normal. So we don't see anymore these guys coming from the Israeli army, intelligence, 8200, which got this
Hmm.
name, and say, hey, we have an idea, cyber. We know how to do cyber. Okay, $60 billion on a value of 180. We saw it last year. Uh, so basically, it's a good market for the good companies, and it's a good market for VCs. Do you know why? Because hey, it's more normal. It's more we do see more opportunities. We do see valuations, which are the right valuations. Company has a great idea, but with every great idea comes a lot of risks. And if it companies it's early stage, you have to well to make the calculation of the risk against the potential, the right probabilities, the right amounts, and that's a value. And and yeah, we want to do it in a way that the values are dictating by this balance between the potential and the risks, and not by hey, somebody else offered them now twice. We won't invest.
Right.
So that's I'm happy with this time. And I by the way, I think that we should invest even more than before, or not less than before, because the entrepreneurs are there, the ideas are there, technology needs to continue to be progressed.
So, as Grove Ventures, you're an investor in Wiliot, the company, my day job, the company I work for. In fact, you interviewed me. So, thank you for helping get me this job that I love. I've been doing it for 5 years, which is a privilege. What you invested in the very early stages of Wiliot, but what typically what stage does Grove invest in? Where are you in that?
Yep.
Because you started off as an angel investor, right? As an individual, you.
I started as an angel investor, and I didn't plan to invest, but people used to come to me and say, okay, nice, great idea. They came back to say, hey, no one was ready to invest. Okay, I put some money. And I got into the conclusion, the wrong conclusion, that this way of is a bad way. It's a good way to lose money because you don't really get to see the best opportunities, and you don't do a real thorough due diligence as you should do. And as a standalone person, it's difficult to really monitor and help and support. And that's where I went to establish Grove. By the way, I invested as an angel in about 10 companies, and three of them are doing extremely, very, very well. One of those companies is a company called Rapid API. It's run by somebody who was 15 and a half when I got to know him. And I invested in his
Wow.
company. Actually, I didn't implement, he didn't establish a company. He was very slow. He developed something and it was very, very slow. So I asked him, why don't you hire somebody to help you? He said, hey, I don't have money. And I'm a student at high school. So I said, how much money do you need? He said, $60,000. I said, okay, let's make it a company. That's it. It's an exercise for us, for me, for you. We'll open a company. I said, okay, we'll open a company. What the company? The lawyers will dictate. So I gave him $60,000 on a pre-money value of $180,000. And this company now has a value of over $1 billion. And
Very nice.
it's enough money for many, many of such investment that I've done. But I made it a
That's
fund,
great.
and we are early stage fund. We are early stage fund. We invest in companies really at the beginning. We want to help them to build themselves. We want to see that there is the right DNA and culture and vision and mission statement. And that the guys are hiring the right people. And yeah, I think that hiring people is crucial. Company would do as well as the level of their people would be. And if they would hire bad people, idea could be great, but it won't help them. And maybe that's one of the reasons I interviewed, and probably that's the reason I was recommending to take you. So anyway,
Well, so what are the key things when you have your partners meetings? You're talking about an investment. What are the things that you typically debate about So you talked about a lot of criteria, the mission and the quality of the people and the culture. But what are the things that you find you're debating in your meetings with your other partners? You're the senior partner, you lead it, but I'm assuming there's still some debate about where the investments go.
First, we are equal partners. So we are four partners. Everybody holds 25%, and we take decisions, as an entity, not as say Dov said or whatever. But we are. I'm the guy at the fund who is pulling all the time more toward the hard stuff, the deep tech, which means semiconductors and cloud infrastructure and core AI, science. I do like things coming from science. I like very much biotech as well. Anything that relates to healthcare, digital health. That's the nature of our fund in all of those subjects, really at the very, very early stages of the company. And then we are there, and we are coming as the guys who are coming to help the companies. We are not coming as the guys sitting at the board, providing commands. And I don't know how much Tali is telling you, Tali, your CEO, about my efforts to come and help connect him there and go through this and sometimes criticize him, which I don't do at the board. I do when we meet. By the way, almost nothing to criticize him because he's almost perfect. He's one of the best CEOs I ever met in my life. Uh, he would compete for the job of the best CEO. Yeah.
Well, what makes, I've got to ask you, what makes a great CEO? What do you
Okay.
love in a CEO?
So I tell you generally, when we evaluate entrepreneurs, how do we evaluate? First, we have this statement, people first. It's two principles. People first, creating value. And how do you measure people? How do you know if they are good or bad for this specific job? Not for, they might be very good as a husband for my daughter, but not good as. So
Yes.
the answer is, by the way, I do ask this question many students when I come to give speeches in universities. I ask them, what do you think? IQ, is that important? Now they are students, so they are very, very smart. So they say, no. Hey, so no, guys, you are totally wrong. IQ is important. We don't take idiots. Yeah, we don't invest in idiots. IQ is important, but there's something which is more important. Clearly, this is EQ, emotional quotient. How the person knows how to create eye contact, relations, care about others, and it's crucial. It's crucial to him knowing how to raise money, because raising money is not just, hey, I have an amazing idea, invest in me. No, 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 no. It's very far away of that. And it's how does he know to sell? Because practically the number one seller for any startups is the CEO. Yeah. You go to sell something that no one else was using. The buyer should really have crazy trust in you. And he doesn't want
Yes.
to meet the VP sales that comes with a slick tie, whatever, coat, uh, giving his speech. He wants to meet the CEO. He wants to look at the CEO in the eyes. If the CEO won't be able to convince him because he's not the right character, it's an issue. And then comes something which is even more important, and this is AQ. And AQ stands for adversity.
Adversity. Okay, yes,
You
of
know,
course.
when you build your startup, you are going to go through tough times. Everybody. I didn't see a single company that didn't go through tough time. It's maybe I don't know, maybe Google didn't go through tough time. I think that Google didn't really go through tough. They're going now. How they will go in the future. But every company has tough times. Every CEO will have many disappointments. You go to raise money. You will get many, many no's of people, investor that would tell you no. And every time you get a no, it's like a slap on your face, because you went to
Mhm.
somebody with the full excitement. You are so excited. You have to be. By the way, if you don't go excited, don't go. So you go really excited, and you make many preparations, and you tell your friends, guys, I know this. He will invest, and then you sit with him, and he gives you 30 minutes and say, I don't think it's going to work, or some stupid answer, which it's stupid, and you have to go back and say, they ask you, guys, how was the meeting? Hey, not so bad. Uh, He wanted to see the beginning of this our device working before he invest. He just hate. He doesn't want you. He doesn't want to see your face anymore. Yeah. So you have to play this game. And again, I talked about this song before. This is
Yes.
Daughters to the left of you.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So you take people, and sometimes you are disappointed of the people because sometimes they may fit to a specific stage, but not fit the next stage. What do you do with that? And sometimes you go to a customer and you have really the best product, and then you find that the customer keeps buying IBM and say, I know it's
Yes.
other guys are IBM, but I have such a great product, but they are IBM. And it's so confusing and so disappointing and so tough. And you work like crazy hours. And you have wife at home that is probably unhappy of your activity and your children that you don't see enough and you feel guilt for that. It is
Yes.
very difficult to be a successful entrepreneur. And not everybody is structured to that. And that's what we are trying to see when we meet people and understand how they are. And yeah, it takes time to
Very
learn,
interesting.
but that's a way that's more
Very
free.
interesting.
But by the way, I must
Well,
tell
so
you,
you knew. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, you knew Wiliot indirectly, I guess. You didn't know Tal, but there was someone in your firm that
Yep,
that
yep,
knew of Tal and Yaron and Alon, and so
yeah,
you
yeah.
had that. And I joined relatively early in Wiliot's history, and I was just amazed they closed their initial investment round basically within days of the start of the year they were founded, and I think that was partially because of that was a lot to do with you. And I have to say, I'm now focused on marketing. In the early days, I was washing the dishes, doing the sales, and your Grove were an amazing partner and investor. You made so many introductions, gave such great advice. I just want to acknowledge that it was, you were just wonderful as an investor. We've only got a few minutes left. I do want to ask you what your view is of the market that we're in now, IoT, and the potential for what we're now calling ambient IoT. In my mind, ambient IoT is computing and sensing and communication that surrounds us. And I know you've always been enthusiastic about it, but I've never really heard your thoughts on how far this could go, what the potential is. So I'd love to hear
Well,
from you
I'll be
your
I'll
thoughts
be
on
happy
that.
to tell you. I'm sure that all the Wiliot employees are highly believers. I would say that excluding the Wiliot employees, I am the highest believer worldwide for this concept and idea. Generally in life, in technology, you develop a platform, and then there are applications that can use this platform. And over time, these applications needs more power or more storage or more speed. And then you go back to the platform or core and continue to develop that, and then it goes back to the applications. And it's a cycle that constantly goes on and on. In my eyes, what Wiliot is developing is a core technology. It's a core technology that will have many applications that currently we don't see yet. We will begin to see. We chose a market specific. I don't know how much I can talk about the market and the customers, but we chose a market and we do have there amazing, great customers. And I do believe that within a year or nearby a year, we will begin to see this kind of stuff really change the logistics of this specific market. And the numbers here are huge. But that's only the beginning of exploring the capabilities. And once we will be there at this market, showing how we practically improve logistics significantly, improve quality, improve actually issues like health of food, if I can mention that. Uh,
Yes,
and
yes,
this will open the eyes to many others that say, hey, I can use it for this, I can use it for this, and I do have many of those examples because I told you I'm innovative, so some of my ideas maybe are stupid, but it opens the door to many ideas. Sometimes I feel that I need to, and I do it. I need to stop telling Tal what kind of ideas I have because I don't want to drag him out of the focus where he is now, which is very, very important. But as you know, probably I'm one of the big believers in the fact that we don't need to develop a platform that would allow many developers easily approach the device, approach the software. Actually, I don't look at Wiliot as at all as a silicon company. I look at it as a data company. It's a company that deals with data. They're using data generated by these small chips, but practically, it's an amazing company that would change the world in many, many aspects. I can talk about about the car market. I can talk about medical devices. I can talk about construction. Amazing ideas regarding construction and a lot of other stuff. And this is actually something that I feel very, very well with. I identify myself with it because this is part of creating values, making this world a bit better.
Absolutely. I totally agree, Dov. And, we have to focus on a few applications to break through, but this is a very, very broad platform that can change the way people make things, distribute them, sell them, use them, reuse them, recycle them, completely new business models. So we wouldn't be here if it weren't for the amazing work you did. And I just want to thank you as an amazing investor. And thanks for sharing some time with us here. We had another half of this conversation that people can hear next, where we talk a bit about music and how that relates to entrepreneurship. Well, I do have one question, another question, which we'll get to later, which is what's your favorite thumb drive? But before we get to that, are there 3 songs? You're a musical person. You were just showing me the bongos that you have, which are just beautiful. You're a drummer, which I had no idea. Congas, not bongos.
Congas. Bongas is much smaller. Okay. The sound is very different. This is congas. Much more professional.
Okay. Yeah. I stand corrected, and I know what you mean. The sound is beautiful for those things. How often do you play?
Well, I began to play actually only 3 years ago. Before, I love music. All my life, I remember myself as a young person saying to myself, I'm so lucky that I love music. It's like getting to heaven while you are still alive. And I listen a lot to music, but I didn't play. Why didn't I play? When I was at the age of 16, this was the time that everybody bought a guitar, which is not what you think today. Today, people are buying, but it's not so popular. At my time, no internet, no games, no TikTok, so people went to play football together, bought guitars, played together guitar. And by the way, that caused a situation that the best ones became really very good musicians. Today, somebody can be born with amazing capabilities, but he doesn't write and he does practice and he doesn't. I think that that's one of the reasons of the level of music that was generated 50 years ago and is generated today. But anyway, I didn't play. I bought a guitar. I actually bought a guitar, and just something didn't feel well. My fingers. And somebody that came to one of my friends came and said, "Hey, you make a mistake. You have to hold it the opposite because practically I'm lefties. But then you have to change all the strings. They have to be another order." So I didn't do nothing. I just go there, somewhere at my room. And a month later, somebody comes, "Hey, that's a guitar. Why do you play?" I said, "I have to switch the strings." Said, "How much did it cost you?" I said, 120 shekels. He said, "Okay, I'll buy it for you." That's it. No more money, no. Until 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, about 3 years ago and a couple of months, we had a performance. We had actually an LP meeting. And we took a decision that in
So
the year,
limited partners meeting, just to
yeah,
explain
for the
for
fun,
the
I
people that don't
remember,
know. These are the people, these are your bosses, I guess. The people, I always think of VCs don't have a boss, but everyone has a boss, and
everybody
you
has a
have the
boss.
limited partners, right?
Even boss, even the big boss is a boss. You don't know who he is, but he is. Of course, there is a boss. So, LP, our LPs that are coming. We want to make it as a. We have a dinner before. We want to have music, and we invited to play at this dinner a group called Shalva. It's a very nice Israeli guys, Israeli people that each one has his own incapabilities. One, the singer is a blind. The drummer has some his own problems. Everybody is there, but they're very amazing. It's amazing group, really. And I said I want to play with them because hey, because I do believe that everybody in the world has his own limitations. I'm one of the guys with the limitations. I'm playing with these guys. So my people called the band manager and said, "Hey, our managing partner want to play with you." The owner, the manager of this team said, "Hey, can't just come and play. I have to test him. Doesn't know can he play?" And then so I went, and he brought me some small drum, uh,
Huh?
and I passed the test. I'm okay. I have a good, I'm a good tempo. And then he said, "Hey, but you
Uh-huh.
have to come practice. You have to come and practice at least a couple of times because you can't just come there and without practicing." I went. I truly enjoyed so much that after this performance, I said, I have to do with something, and I went to buy some drums because I want. I said, let's. And in the store, I asked, is there any band that looks to for drummer, this kind of drums, percussion actually. And they say, actually, we do have a group playing, and yeah, you can join them. And that's a band. So I'm playing with the same band 3 years. We play every week. We practice. We do have amazing performance. Performance is in the performance we sing, and between one song to the other, I talk about entrepreneurship. And it's amazing how many songs are so well related to that. And the whole story of startups and rock bands is so similar, by the way. What happened to them? How did they progress? How everybody tries to build his own differentiation. Yeah. And we became
That
very, very popular. We are very popular. We are booked ahead of time. So that's my
that's
suggestion.
amazing. And what sort of venues do you play? Where,
Well, we play
where are you playing?
to Live Your Lover, and we play uh, Simon Garfunkel stuff. We play
Uh-huh.
Don't Stop, Never Stop Thinking About Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very inspiring.
It is a great
That's
song for
great.
entrepreneurs. Hey, you fail and fail and fail. You need, as a good
But
entrepreneur,
this is fascinating, this correlation between the startup dynamic and the band dynamic. I never really thought about it before, but you have questions of leadership and
absolutely.
harnessing creativity. And what are the other parallels in your mind?
By the way, one of the songs we are singing is Stuck in the Middle with You. You know the song. Jokers to the left of you, clowns to the left. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Hey, that's exactly the scripture of a startup. You begin a startup, and because
Okay.
you take the smartest guy from the university, and you take the guy which with you at your military service that everybody said about him. He knows how to sell ice to Eskimos. Yeah. And then after a year, you find that the guy from university is great solving problems, but he doesn't know how to manage a team. And this amazing guy from the Eskimos, probably he knows how to sell ice to Eskimos. He doesn't know how to sell product to Dell. Okay, and it's very different.
Um,
Yeah, and you're stuck.
amazing. So we have this tradition on the show. We ask our guests for three songs that have meaning to them. Do you have three songs that you can share with us?
Wow, this is such a difficult question. I really didn't come prepared. I would say that I love. By the way, we play today, so we play together. We play for a couple of hours, and everybody brings his own music, and we try stuff, and of course we do rehearsals as well.
Amazing.
It's really activity, nice activity, but clearly stairway to heaven. It's the stairway to heaven. Nothing is close to that. And then if I have to put
Yes.
a list, there'll be many. I cannot say if I quote two, if I state only two. I know that how could I
Well,
forget this and how could I forget this? But
yes, yes. I mean, I think the thing that sometimes helps people is if they think about a particular occasion or a moment in their life that is linked to a song, because then, there are a few songs maybe that remind you of childhood or
sure.
romance, or I don't know. That's
So clearly there are many songs in Hebrew which I love. I like a lot. But from every time I like something else and I'm crazy about this song and there's no something stable. Today we listen to King Crimson. I'm not sure you know, but we are King Crimson.
I do. I have a King Crimson record in my vinyl collection back there, actually.
The first one
I'm
was
just trying to
amazing.
remember which one it is, but
In
yeah,
the
yeah.
court of the Crimson King. And it's the whole
All right.
record is amazing. The whole record are just amazing. I can't describe it differently. So I do have two now, and I would add
Yes.
something from Moody Blues or Simon and Garfunkel. Moody Blues has
Ah,
Night of White Satin.
Shade of Pale. Oh, Nights in
Um,
White Satin. Yes,
Night of White Satin, and
that's
and
great.
my first big love, not my wife, before my wife, was a lady that I got to know this song. Actually, it was roughly about. This song is a very interesting song because I'm not sure you know. It has a history, very unique history. It went to the public. It came as number one on the playlist in America.
Hmm.
As every song, it began to people got bored and it went out of the. And
Yes.
5 years later, no one understands why it went back into the first place. It's the only song ever that went in such a difference of time to the first place. And the reason, I know the reason. Why? It's a great song. And, now this was when I was a student at the Technion, and I was in love with a lady which was actually older than me by 3 years, which was big gap these days. I was in a relatively poor family, not rich family. She was one of the richest families in Israel. And we didn't really synchronize. I was in love. I think that she wasn't so much in love. And she used to tell me, listen, I do have other friends as well. And this evening somebody else is going to come to me, and I would just go there and sneak into the yard nearby or to the street, looking at her window. Do they turn off the light? Did you go? Because I was in love, really crazy in a crazy way. Yeah. So that reminds me, of course, this time. That's life.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. That's great. I There's so much I want to ask you about. We have limited time, but it would be great to hear about how you got from your early life. And it seems like you didn't kind of start your life knowing that you wanted to invent the memory stick, the thumb drive. How did you end up coming up with these ideas and building a company around it? I mean, your name is on a lot of patents that relate to this. You weren't a bystander; you were at the center of this. As a kid, did you ever think that you would be creating a technology that would, leave a mark on the world?
Clearly, I wanted. Yeah, I had a grandfather that was a really amazing entrepreneur. He was like Elon Musk of the 100 years ago. It did. I can
Oh,
I can tell you a whole story of an hour about him and the things that he did and how he
hmm.
took my father and succeed to save them because of the Holocaust. All the stories a lot. But my grandfather, we lived in the same room. We had a small apartment and. He gave me a lot of things that I carry till now. One of them is money is not important. I I, I,
Hmm.
I really do believe so. You should have enough, but it's not hey. It's not, hey, I want to be more richer and more and show others. I don't have it. And the other thing I seen that it was like, don't break up. Don't leave. Don't get it. Don't leave it. I do have memory from my really young age where I'm doing some job for him. He just created jobs for me.
Mm-hmm.
I stand there with a very heavy piece that I'm going to drop, and he had no legs, so he couldn't. And he's standing there below me, say, "Don't drop it. Don't drop." And I do have this in my mind, like he had this statement. I didn't drop it. So I'm entrepreneur in my DNA. So I think it's a DNA of entrepreneurship. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, and I say something about myself, and I don't feel comfortable talking about how great I am. It's not that I'm great. I'm very innovative. I always was very innovative. I was innovative in the sense that I was a young reporter on an Israeli youth newspaper. I was painting,
Oh,
and my painting, my teacher for painting was in love in my painting. She sent it to an exhibition. And on the other side, I was very, very good in math and physics. So it's
mm-hmm.
combination, sort of combination. Now, I have to tell the audience something which is very, very critical for
Mm-hmm.
me to say. Being
Mm-hmm.
innovative, uh, it's not just positive. There are bad sides to that. If I look at, so it's like a sketch. It gives you
Mm-hmm.
some benefits and power on one side. On the other side,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very unorganized. I'm very, I tend to move from one thing to the other very fast. It's very difficult for me to do only one stuff, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big deficiency. And in many times in my life, I failed many times. Just because, hey, I didn't focus in one thing and did this thing and continue with that. So
But how do you? So I have to ask you, how do you're very self-aware of the strength and that weakness. How do you manage the weakness?
well, when I was at M
How do you deal
Systems,
with it?
I went to the Israeli army, Navy actually. I was 8.5 years. I was the head of the Israeli microprocessors. By the way, it was a great time for me. I really enjoyed so much because practically I was managing 23 projects in my department. It was a big department, many people. I felt very comfortable to go from one project to another, do this, learn, do this stuff.
Yes.
And then when I left the Navy, I established M Systems, and the company dealt with flash data storage, and the company was growing and moving slowly, uh, improving itself. At 2001, we reached revenues of $45 million, and which is not big revenues. But I did something which I think was very important. I got into the conclusion that I should not manage the day-to-day life of the company. I brought four
Mm-hmm.
guys, actually from inside the company, and I divided the company into four divisions. And the four divisions were totally, totally independent in a way that every division has a manager, has a vice president, called it associate vice presidents, had their own HR, they had their own,
Mm-hmm.
they had somebody in the division which did all the economics, the finance, they had their own
Mm-hmm.
sales, they had their own operations. And that's crazy. I divided the operations to four different operations. Actually, three. The two of them did together. I divided this. I had in the States three sales offices, actually located in different places. And you may say, hey, Tom, it's totally inefficient. On the other side, I gave a lot of power to the managers. And the idea was, hey guys, you're going to do well. Your division is going to be compensated very, very large, very nicely for
Mm-hmm.
the success of the division. It's all in your hand. And we kept a small corporate that dealt with stuff that was really supposed to gather all the data by flash memory. This was related to all of the divisions. I
Mm-hmm.
established another group which did some crazy stuff. So there was all, but the idea was to bring the people that practically complemented me in my weaknesses, and this worked very, very well. And I think that this is powerful.
Absolutely key.
Yeah.
Absolutely key. We've sort of skipped over the thing where you basically came up with this invention that changed that changed the world. I mean, I have one of these in my car. This is my favorite flash drive. It's got the two interfaces, the
Yeah.
USB-C and the other USB.
It's,
And you know, your company invented this, and it seems
I'm known as
like
the
it's part of the furniture.
yeah.
How
Well,
did it happen?
well, there's a story, but I think that the story is boring. Okay, first, when we invented it, we already dealt with Flash. We knew what is Flash. We knew how to take Flash and make it appear like a hard disk, but not in the USB. Now, there's a small story. I'll try to shorten it. I went to a conference in New York. Now, I live in Israel, Tel Aviv. There's a flight
Yes.
001, Tel Aviv to New York. Now, I do it until today. When I give presentation, I need to look at it, to go over it. I do it before so in the flight, very late at night, I take my computer, I go over the presentation, close it, or believe I close it, put it back into my case, my backpack, and put it below my legs, and I go to sleep. What I didn't figure out is that the computer didn't really shut it down. It just opened by itself like that.
Mm.
And later on, I did test to understand what really happened. So when I arrived to New York, the battery was totally drawn, empty. Now this is 1998, 24 years ago. I go to the conference. I don't try it, of course, before. My turn. I come on the stage. I put my computer. I hook the cables. Hey, nothing happens. Now we are a public company. What do you do? Would you speak without a presentation? You can't. There are lots of numbers. You should talk about. You can't make mistakes in the numbers. And what's in my mind? I'm going to go back to Tel Aviv to tell my people that I actually went and did nothing. And there's a picture. How do you picture that? The picture goes like that. You know that?
Yes.
This
The
is the
spiral.
sweat on my back. I felt the sweat on my back of appearing such an idiot in front of my guy saying, hey, I flew to New York. My computer didn't work because I didn't probably shut it correctly, and now I flew back. So while I do that, one of my friends in the first row, which was supposed to talk after me, say, hey, take my computer. I say, but how can I transfer my files from my computer? A whole dialogue. There is no way. And then the computer woke up at some time because I connected to the power. These days, it was about, you had to have 3 minutes of power on before the battery was good enough to really begin
Right.
activity. So I did a presentation. I do have this moment of discovery. This was when I finished and took off all my cables. I had a big, yeah, I okay. And then I said to myself, never again I will go to give a presentation without having a copy at my pocket. And that's all. The rest is connecting dots. And I was very, very lucky, by the way. It's not just a matter of being smart or anything else. Lucky, first I did know that USB is coming, and I did know how that flash could be connected. My luck here was that there was a committee of IEEE to define the USB standard. And the
Hmm.
committee did an amazing job. Very, very smart guys, all of them. Yeah, I met few of them, by the way, later on. But they didn't define that you can connect memory into the USB port. So we could file a
Hmm.
patent for that, actually. And once we file a patent, this is power. Patent is important. When you deal with technology and brings new stuff to the market, you need to file patents. This is crucial. And this patent allowed us to, we allowed others to do. We could sue the whole world, but we could actually reach agreements with the flash manufacturers and tell them, listen, if you actually have to have a license with us to sell to the others, and we had a very nice concept. Don't want to charge you money for any USB flash drive, but just give us part of the flash that you're manufacturing at a lower price.
Hmm.
So, they didn't see it like a trouble or big trouble. For us, it was the ability to win everybody else. We had a better price. Price is very crucial. Yeah.
That is amazing. I thought you were going to tell me that you got a percentage on every drive that everyone sold, but you didn't need to do that.
There were hundreds of manufacturers. No, we didn't have to do it. And of course, it gave us the ability to sell to all the large OEMs. So actually, we sold to Dell, HP, IBM, Memorex, verbatim, many others. The nice story about that is that when you went to Best Buy, these days people used to go to Best Buy to buy stuff like that, and you stood in front of the shelf of the USB stick, USB flash drives, all of them were ours. Doesn't matter which one you bought. Kingston was a great partner, great people, by the way. I'm a good friend till today with the COO of Kingston, Davidson. Amazing person. Yeah. So.
Amazing. So it is interesting. It's a little. It is like being a rock star, don't you think? You're something that you've done is part of everyone's lives. And I always joke about the fact that computer scientists are frustrated rock stars.
No. First of all, it's a past. It's a gone. Today everything goes through the cloud, and that's the way it should be done. And the USB flash, as any technology would disappear. And that's the nature of technology. It's good for several years, and then comes something which is much better, much more correct. We always surprised, hey, how could it's technology. That's what's great about technology. Technology practically improves our life constantly in a way that we cannot actually predict, but it does the job. And I didn't feel like hero. Actually, when I was at M Systems, I was working so hard that I tell you a funny story. When I established the company, and I asked myself, what's your target? Where do you? Hey, if we get to $1 billion sales, wow, that's going to be an amazing company. Of course, we reached the $1 million. They say, hey, it's not a real company. It's a project here, there. $10 million, that's a real company, $10 million. We crossed the $10 million. I say, hey, $100 million. This is in Israel. That's a large company. Israel, by the way, these days it was a very, very large company. Not too many companies were there with revenues over $100 million. We just crossed the $100 million, and we went to the $1 billion without noticing. Actually, from $45 million revenues in 2001, we moved to over $1 billion sales in 2006. If we would complete the year, 5 years. It's 24x sales in 5 years. Not too many companies, not in Israel, in the world, did this kind of sharp increase. And I was so busy with what we were doing that the last thing that I thought about, hey, rockstar, what was? I was flying these days until I saw the M Systems in Coach. Yeah. And when they gave me an upgrade to business, I used to go to my people flying with me and say, hey, David, you exchange the tickets with me. He said, no, why? I said, because I want to sit with the guys. I don't want to sit alone at the business. It's not fun.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Dov, thank you so much for this personal look at some of your experiences. It's really been fascinating.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Into your service.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Mr. Beacon Ambient IoT podcast here on YouTube. You can listen to this episode on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed it, please like and share this video, and be sure to subscribe for more weekly videos. For more information about Wiliot and IoT Pixels, head on over to wiliot.com.